everybody, it's Elliot from Little Punk People here, and today I'm going to be interviewing Alex Essoe, who's an incredible actress, and you may have seen some of her work in films like Starry Eyes, or Doctor Sleep, or even Midnight Mass. This is an awesome interview. Thank you for clicking on this video, and I really hope you enjoy it. Hey everybody, it's Elliot from Little Punk People here, and today I'm here with the one and only Alex Essoe. Are you ready?
I'm so ready.
Let's do this. So, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Elliot. How you doing, man?
I am doing great too. That's good to hear. Thank you for coming on the Little Punk People interview show.
No worries. I love it. I've been following you, man, for a minute.
Thank you. If you could go back in time and talk to the younger version of yourself, when you first started acting, what would you say to yourself?
Oh man. Well, I first started when I was about 6.
Wow.
And I was the understudy for Cosette in a production of Les Mis. And I don't know. I might go forward years to like the 14-year-old Alex.
Yeah, you could.
I don't know if I want to tell all this stuff to the 6-year-old me. I'm gonna scare her. But I mean, at 14, I probably would have. I don't know. Probably given myself just very realistic expectations of the industry. My love for and philosophy on acting has always remained fairly consistent, because I feel like I don't know if luck is the right word, but I was able to choose like good acting role models, I should say. Like people that, I was never like a Julia Roberts fan. I was never like the rom-com girl. I liked like Tank Girl. I liked Lori Petty. I liked, she was someone who was doing something different. I loved like old movies. I loved Deborah Carr and, Betty Davis and Olivia de Havilland, like those kinds of people. And honestly, that hasn't really changed. So pretty much. Jenna Rollins is my favorite actress. She's number one of all the actresses I've ever seen. And I first saw her in A Woman Under the Influence when I was 19 or something. My roommate had a subscription to TCM, and I started watching it religiously, and I absolutely fell in love with her. And and that's pretty much it. All my favorite actors are old or dying.
Awesome. I would have just tried to prepare myself from all the nerve wrack waiting in that waiting room, every single audition. I would be like, you're gonna be real nervous a lot.
Oh man. Yeah.
The film industry is very rough and filled with rejection. What do you do to keep yourself motivated?
I'll tell you, I mean, it's not easy. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you really do feel like you're just pissing into the wind. And that your whole life is a lie and that you should just quit. And my plan B, I'm a really big Carlos Castaneda fan. So my plan B, if acting didn't work out, was I was going to move to Mexico and become a Yaqui Indian sorcerer. That was my fail-safe. So it's a good thing acting
like fun.
Yeah, it does sound like fun. It would probably be terrifying. But I highly recommend his books if you haven't. He's an anthropologist who wrote about this tribe in like the 60s. He went to go study mescaline, but he ended up becoming like a student of this like Yaqui Indian warrior. It's so badass.
I'll check it out. I absolutely love your song for Harry Dean. Have you ever considered releasing it, like releasing an album for your music?
No way. I love that you know that song. Yeah, I have. It's funny. In 2018, I actually recorded an EP, and then I haven't been back to LA since then because of the pandemic. But they still have the tracks. I really, honestly, I just need to do it. I just need to pull the trigger. I've just always had this like kind of nervous blind spot with music. And I know that like this shouldn't matter to me, but it does. I really don't want the stigma of like, I'm an actor who also makes music. I'm an actor with an
Awesome.
album. And all these, because those are always such fucking vanity projects and so off-putting. I would probably release it under a different name.
That works too. I mean, I
Yeah.
loved, you were talking about Elliott Smith earlier. You can definitely hear that influence in that song too.
Oh, come on. Elliot, please. That's very, very sweet of you to say. And he is one of my favorites too. Actually, if you like him, and if you like Song for Harry Dean, you should check out this artist named Michael Hurley. He was he's great. He was part of like the Greenwich Village scene in the 60s. Cool dude.
I'll definitely check him out.
Yeah.
Do you listen to any particular music to get yourself in the zone before filming a big scene?
It all depends upon the character. Really depends. Like there's a band that I love called the Fiery Furnaces. They were this brother and sister band from New Jersey.
Nice.
And their stuff is really experimental and off the wall, and there was one song they had in particular. Oh God, what was it called? It's so long. It's like this spoken word thing that their grandma is on and has this really frenetic piano. And like, I like music like that for scenes like in Starry Eyes. I listen to that a lot for when I kind of start to unravel, because there's no, when you start to lose your grip on reality, there's nothing to anchor you to reality. And I find sort of disorienting music like that is helpful,
Yes.
for example.
For sometimes I've had whenever before an audition, I'd watch some Jack Stauber videos of all people.
Oh,
and then like
dude,
I love
TikTok
Jack
made him
Stauber.
so famous. It's so funny.
His
Did you ever listen
animations.
Oh, I know. Did you ever listen to Juice?
I have
His
not.
band,
I
it's
haven't.
Joose.
I've never heard of this.
Oh, it's so funny. It's this band he had with some friends of his before he started doing solo stuff, and it's just like a laugh. It's so funny.
Yeah, I can imagine. But I would watch those animations, and it would definitely unravel
Yeah.
me and get me out of reality a little bit.
Yeah, and it's like when you expose yourself to art that inspires you like that. I mean, that's really, it doesn't even matter if it makes sense or not. It's just it lights the fuse,
As
That's
long as
really
it
cool.
gives you a feeling.
Right, exactly.
There was a character in your film, Starry Eyes, that gave that vibe that they were in competition with you. Has this ever happened with you in real life?
Oh yeah. Oh God, yes. Actresses all the time. Like it's one thing I have learned is that acting attracts a very certain personality types. It attracts artists, but it also attracts narcissists. And because it's very image based, and it's very easy to, control this idealized version of yourself, which narcissists love to do, especially grandiose ones. And so it has ranged from like, girls trying to flex to like being passive aggressive to like being fully aggressive. There was one girl at a commercial audition I was at, and it was so weird. The casting director, we were all in a line, and the casting director said, can you guys all move a little to your right? So we all did, and this girl was next to me, and she didn't move at all. And so I was like uncomfortably close to her. And then she stops and she looks at me full in the face, and she's like, "Do you have a problem?" In the audition room. I was so amazed. And I was like, "No." And I'm looking at the casting director, I'm like, "I'm sorry, he told all of us to move over." And then she did. And then after the audition, she came up to me. Yeah. And was like, "What, do you have a problem with me or something?" I was like, "Are you insane?" She's like, "Well, he told us all to stand where we were. And so that's what I did." I was like, "Oh, honey, you're an actress and you can't be directed. You can't follow a simple direction like step to your right." I hate to break it to you, but you didn't book that job. Now, the cherry on top, and it's petty of me to revel in this, but the cherry on top was that I booked that job.
Good for
Which
you.
and it may have had something to do with the fact that this chick was like bullying me in the casting room.
And you didn't step down. You showed your confidence too.
Well, right. I wasn't like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. But I also wasn't like, let's take this outside either. Which is not, you know what I mean? Like if I had been confrontational back with her, then that also would have reflected badly on me. And I mean, there's no way that casting didn't watch that and be like, oh, never working with her again.
What scared you the most when you were a kid, and what's your favorite horror movie?
Okay, the thing that scared me most when I was a kid was the dark. I saw Ghostbusters when I was maybe too young. I was like 3 or something, and I loved it. But that like demon dog that runs after Rick Moranis, that scared me. But the thing that scared me the most about it was not just that the dog itself was scary, but it was that no one helped him. He's running through a crowded city. He runs into the window of a restaurant everyone sees, and then everyone goes back to eating. And there was something about that that was so incredibly disturbing to me. And then I grew up and found out it was a real thing. It is a thing that people, especially in cities, are generally apathetic to the plights of others. And I can't remember what it's called. It's like the something effect. I always blank on this stuff when I need to remember it. But that scared me a lot as a kid. The idea that someone would be in trouble and people would know and not help them. That was something that was like, yeah. And mobs, angry mobs have always terrified me.
Yes,
always.
I can see that as well.
Yeah, they're an unstoppable. I mean, I avoid crowds as much as I can because I'm always worried about a stampede or something. Yeah.
If you had the chance to live forever on this planet like a character from Midnight Mass, would you do it?
That is a really tough question. I've thought about that a lot because there is a part of me that really wants to see what happens.
Yes.
But unfortunately, that would involve saying goodbye to everyone and everything that I love. I don't know how I would ever be able to form any relationships with anybody because they would eventually die. There's actually a really great quote, and of course I'm blanking on the name now that now that I have to remember it. I can't, but I'll paraphrase. It's essentially something like, if man were to live forever, he would live long enough to see himself, be betrayed by his best friend, and everything he thinks he knows to be proven wrong, and everything he holds dear will turn to shit, and and all of this. And in place of this, we have death. There's a horrible paraphrasing by me. I highly like in the I know the last line is in place of this, we have death. That's verbatim. Maybe you can find it that way. Maybe I'll remember who the fuck said that. I've only quoted it like a bunch of times. But I think that there is really something to that. The toll and the crushing loneliness of living forever. And even if you had someone else who was also living forever and they're your best friend, like 300 years in, you're not going to be friends anymore. Yeah, it's not like, this is another good example. There's this really beautiful song called If We Were Vampires. And one of the lines is, if we were vampires and life was a joke, I'd go out on the sidewalk and smoke and laugh at all the lovers in the airplanes. I wouldn't feel the need to hold your hand. Maybe time running out is a gift, is one of the lines. And there is something about that, the fact that it is finite and you have to appreciate what you have, because whatever happens after this, after whatever we're going through now, whatever happens beyond this, whatever you believe, it's not going to be this. Even if you get to go around one other time, if you believe in reincarnation or another plane of existence, it's not going to be this again, ever again.
Yes.
I'm never going to have this body again. I'm never going to meet these people again. And even if, you know, it were some sort of Vonnegut-esque, like time is a flat circle and everything you're doing, you've done before, I'm not going to remember. Anyway, I'm not going to remember I was here before, so I won't have any reason to believe that I'll be here again. So
good to appreciate what we have and the time we were on this planet to begin with.
yeah, and little things, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things that I love about being alive is eating and sleeping and breathing and walking. Like that shit gets me going. Yeah.
For these, you're just going to say if you believe in them, just yes or no.
Okay.
Ghosts.
No.
Aliens.
I mean, there's a lot of proof now. If you had asked me this last year, I would have said no. Now I'm undecided.
Hell.
No.
Reincarnation.
No.
Karma.
No.
Heaven.
No.
Magic.
No.
This one I think you're going to believe in. Bigfoot.
Is there proof around Bigfoot, or did I miss a
No.
No. I was like, did I miss some kind of like evidence? No. Okay.
There's no evidence at all for Bigfoot.
It'd be a hard no for me.
If you could fix one thing on this planet, what would you fix?
I think I would pull the plug on all social media.
That
I
sounds
think
like
that's what I
fun.
would do. I think that would only be an improvement.
And there'd be no distractions either. So
Right.
it'd be a lot more productive people doing what they love instead of just scrolling on Instagram or like TikTok.
And fighting with strangers, which I'm completely guilty of as well. I have totally done that before. I saw one guy say, well, no, I'm not going to do that. Sorry. I'm not going to get into that. But yeah, I don't really see what the like the benefits that I can see to social media are keeping in touch with people that are far away. And that's about it. I would keep stuff like YouTube. I don't consider that necessarily social media, like stuff just because you can comment on something that doesn't make it social media. But stuff like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, all that shit would be gone.
I would try to eliminate all the hate that's in social media. So
Yeah,
like,
but
instead of just like feeling the need to like comment, why did you post this or whatever? You should have done this or whatever.
yeah,
Just go on by.
yeah.
More
But you would have to
sympathy.
change people
Yeah.
to do that, and that's not gonna.
That's not gonna happen.
It's couldn't. Well, but this is the thing. The idea of like changing people. Like if only we could just change everybody. It really wouldn't be very meaningful. It's like if you force someone to do a good deed with a gun to their head, it's not really a good deed because they're not
They're
doing it
forced to
out of
do
the
it.
kindness of their heart. Exactly. And the likelihood that they will do a good deed in the future is greatly reduced. So it's tough. It's a double-edged sword. It's like in relationships when people say, "Oh, I love him so much, but I just want to change this or I just want to change that." You have no idea what you would be throwing out if you changed that one thing. What the domino effect to that person, you would lose maybe something that you also love very much. Also this idea that humans should be perfected.
Mhm.
Like Christopher Hitchens had this really great point that, you know, people seem to long for some kind of utopia where adversity simply doesn't exist. But adversity is the reason why we have evolved to the point that we have.
That's a really good point.
Right? Like if there were no challenges, if there were no obstacles, if there was nothing to ever overcome, we would have just stayed in the trees and been the gentle beasts of the field.
Yes,
Maybe that would have been better. Who knows? I don't know. I don't tend to agree. I mean, And also I think, especially on a subject like this, there are people who are far more well versed in it than I am. So someone like Dr. Steven Pinker, people hate him because he's like, actually, it's not as bad as you think it is. It's actually so much better than it used to be. We're going toward the thing we're trying to achieve already. But, you can't really make money off of that. So everyone's like, no, problems. We're primates.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I can't think of anything. Thank you so much for having me. This was such a nice conversation.
Thank you. It was a blast.
Yeah, it was really fun.